working with Aussizz Group, and we have been joined with Mr. Diljan Singh. He's another registered migration agent currently working with Aussizz Group in Collins. So thanks for joining in this session, guys. Today we'll be discussing about another visa matters. So Mr. Diljan, first of all, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much.
What visas are we going to talk about today?
Today we'll be discussing the partner visa options, and they're like, many may be aware of this, that there are two options. You can either apply offshore or onshore, and we will go into details on this partner visa matters today.
So when we are saying partner visas, Mr. Singh, are we focusing on people who are permanent, or are we focusing on people who are on a student visa, student dependents? What kind of visas?
Yeah, basically, the partner visas are for temporary holders of temporary visa, those who are here in Australia on a temporary basis, and they would like to join, or if they get married, they want to settle with their partner, who must be an Australian citizen or permanent resident, or an eligible New Zealand citizen, so that they can sponsor them.
Okay. So basically, these partner visas are for people who are in a relationship with Australian citizen, permanent residents, and eligible New Zealand citizens.
That's right.
And they are looking for the visa options. That's right. Mr. Diljan, can you educate us more about when we are saying this word relationship? It's a big word. We come into this word like talking about boyfriend, girlfriends. We have seen other sort of terminologies being used. What, for these visa purposes, what kind of relationship is the department looking for?
So basically, the department is looking for a relationship that is sort of a long-lasting relationship, not sort of a temporary or that lasts for 1 or 2 months or something. But obviously, the first one is if somebody is married, that is a relationship. And we have all the legal certificates and documents to show that. But sometimes, as you see in this Western or modern countries, people start living together before they get married because they want to know each other. And in that scenario, they all live together, they move to a similar address. But again, you have to be living for a period of time. So generally, the immigration, the department thinks that if somebody is living together for more than 12 months and they have all the supporting documents, which we will come later on, so that can be categorized as sort of a relationship. But again, you have to be committed to the relationship, not just living together and not committed to each other.
We'll probably go one by one, Mr. Singh. So when I'm saying what kind of a relationship, because people will generally ask us first, either we can go into de facto. It's a lot of questions, people who are discussing about de factos, and there are a lot of people who are asking about if we are married. Okay, now married, we'll go into that bit after. I want to understand, what is a de facto relationship?
See, de facto relationship is a relationship where you are not legally married, but you are living together. You have a commitment of long-lasting relationship, but officially you're not married. That's the difference. And otherwise, you are sharing your finances, you're living together, you're socializing together, So basically, you're doing everything a person would do when they're married, but except that you are not legally married. That is the main difference between de facto and a married relationship.
So, we have seen people who are in same-sex relationship, especially considering de facto. We have seen people with different, sex relationship, again in a de facto. So normally we hear things that, okay, people, they have been living together for 12 months. We do understand it meets the criteria of de facto as per the regulations. If someone who is not been living together for 12 months, I should say that, but their relationship is genuine, it's a continuing relationship. Okay, how are they going to satisfy the department if they are not living together for last 12 months on the same roof? So are there any other way outs to satisfy the department about the commitment that our relationship is genuine and continuing?
The best way in that scenario would be to get your relationship registered with the department. So every state has its own criteria for registration. So people can visit the department, the sites of those agencies in different states and meet the criteria and register the relationship. So once you're registered, your relationship is registered basically, then this 12-month condition is no more. But again, obviously, when you're applying for the visa, along with that application, along with that registration of relationship, you would still require other documents that need to be supported along with that.
Okay, so what you're trying to say here is if I'm in a relationship with person less than 12 months,
yeah,
so I can talk to my state authorities and obtain that relationship registration certificate.
That's right. Yeah.
And on those basis, I will be satisfying department. That's plus moreover, I have to show the documentation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. Considering those factors, nowadays, as you previously mentioned, Mr. Singh, that a lot of people, they are more into practical relationships. They want to stay with the partner first, then they'll think about it, and then they want to get married. So is there anything, say for example, if I have lodged my partner visa on a de facto relationship, and while my visa is in process, and I've got married to the same person, so do you think it will be any issue in regards to my visa situation over there?
No, I don't think so. That will be an issue because since you have already informed the department that you are in a relationship, so the department is aware of your relationship and they have all the documents. So obviously you are not separating from the person, but you are getting into a married relationship. So it's even a stronger bond than the de facto if you just consider in that sense. So there should not be any issue in that.
Okay. We had one of our client, Surjit, is saying that they have lodged 309 partner visa from India, and they are still waiting for the visa applications to be approved. Are there any other visa options in which he can call his wife?
See, because since you have already lodged a partner visa application, and the only option at the moment would be the best option would be to apply for a visitor visa.
Yeah.
Because you can tell the department that you have applied for a partner visa from overseas, and you have been waiting for such a long time that it has not been granted, and you wish to meet your partner. It's been a long time, and because I'm not sure when did you get married. If you got married recently, you can say that we have not got enough time to spend with each other, or we have been away for a long time. So on that basis, you can just give that reason, that she will be coming here and visiting you, and then going back, because anyway she's already applied for a visa which can be granted anytime.
Okay, so yes, I'll probably, as Mr. Singh has mentioned, that a visitor visa can be one of those options, where we can go ahead with the calling your partner over here. So moving forward, Mr. Singh, de facto is pretty much understood. Satisfying the department, apart from the certificate itself, we need to show a lot of documentations. Yes. So one by one, can you educate us more on what kind of documentation and what kind of commitment department is looking for?
Right. So basically, when we talk about relationships and commitments, the department has basically 4 main pillars, which they call it. So we need to discuss those pillars one by one. The first of all, they would look at your financial aspect, that how you are sharing your finances, like if you are renting it or you have bought a property together and you have insurances and some mortgages together. So that means you are sharing your finances.
So what about, Mr. Singh, if I'm that type of a partner, where I don't want to share my financial details. I love my partner, I can die for her, but I don't want to share my financial sort of information with my partner.
Okay.
What do you say on that?
See, in that sense, what happens is you can obviously have your separate accounts and spend money separately, but at least when just putting forward to the department, you can show that this is the expenses which I'm taking care of, and this is the expenses which my partner is taking care of. For example, if you have, for example, some utility bills and a rent and other expenses, you can say, that I'm covering these 2 aspects and the rest is covered by them. So basically, you're not sharing the details, but still you're sharing your finances in that sense. The expenditure is being shared. So that is also one way of showing it.
Oh, that's good. So considering that even if we don't have any joint accounts, as long as we can show that, okay, I'm doing this and she's doing that, in regards to financial sort of responsibilities, financial situation is being met. Yeah,
like I told you, like if somebody has bought a property together, so they don't have to share the bank details all the time, but like if somebody has bought a property together or they have invested somewhere, where they're paying their part of the installment. Yeah. So that is also taken as a financial.
I don't think so. Mr. Singh, to my understanding, if someone is already on a temporary visa, would like to buy a house.
Yeah,
Normally we have
absolutely.
seen, yes. So we have seen people, yes, Australian citizens or permanent resident, they might already have a house.
Yep.
But say, for example, I'm talking about people who are more onshore.
Onshore, yeah.
They don't like to buy houses, with the same person.
Yeah.
While we are talking about de facto situation here. So we are on lease.
Yeah.
So do you think lease document is good?
Absolutely. So like you said, I'll just mention, because since you have to pay more taxes if you buy property on a temporary, when you're on a temporary visa. So that's a good option. And most people here prefer to do that. So they have a lease agreement, which is on both the names, like the partners, and that is how they're paying the rent from the same joint account or separate account they're paying, So obviously that all this thing, basically what I'm saying is there's a list which you don't have to meet each and every part of it, but the more you could meet the things, it's better and stronger case you can present
yourself for the department. So that's pretty informative, guys, in regards to financial pillar, which Mr. Diljan has just spoken us about. Moving on to the second pillar, social aspects of the relationship. Mr. Singh, what do you say on that?
Yeah, for the social aspect, the department considers at how you're known within your friend circles. So if your friend circles, your workers, so co-workers, basically, if they know you both as a couple or like you're in a de facto relationship, you've been partying together, you have pictures of together, all those things, you have gone for holidays or something like that. So all this documentation serves as a purpose, that you are socially known as a couple, and they can obviously. So a couple of them those are citizens here or permanent citizens, they could always write a declaration that we know these two people and they are a couple, we know them for such and such time, and their relationship is genuine. So this thing obviously helps, and that is what is required by the department.
So that's right, guys. Again, understanding the social sort of aspect, what we are trying to educate here is that social aspect is more into where they are watching that whether we have declared our relationship to the community.
That's right. Yeah.
So they are looking at all these invitations and community sort of engagement of the couple.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So moving on to the third pillar, what do you say about third pillar?
The third one, they would basically look at how strong your bonding is and what are your future plans, and how you are committed to each other. So some, like we have seen here, people living together or in a de facto relationship, they even have children, and then we don't have to get married in this country. So what happens is that is sort of a strong point. So you can say that you are committed to each other, you have a baby, so that is that sort of a thing, like again with the household
so
stuff.
In some cases, if someone's not having a baby, the relationship is only 2 months, we are living in a de facto relationship. So okay, we've registered our relationship, but how are we gonna justify?
See, obviously, like you would need to show, like with your basically, you can say that is if you're staying together at home, so you can say that this is that you have divided the household work, and like this is what you do and how you cook, like for the normal household
duties.
Yeah. Okay. So you can even prove that that this is what we do together, this is our office timings, this is how we manage our house. That also can be taken into consideration.
So don't you think so, Mr. Singh, it's a lot of documentation which comes into place when we are going into partner visa. It's a lot of information which immigration is asking. It might be a lot of private information as well, where I don't feel comfortable. So as an agent, what is our role for the client? That what documentation, apart from if he or she doesn't like to provide this document, so what we can do in that case?
See, like I told you, providing all documentation is not a must, because they are basically, the list says that this is these are the document which the department will be looking at. So you can provide, the more you can provide, that would be helpful. But again, this private information is not shared with anybody. It's like a sort of a confidential thing. So it stays with us and we provide to the department. So there's no harm in sharing that. But again, if somebody is really basically, you should not hide any information. That is the thing, so if you are trying to hide something in that sense, that's why you're not providing, that is not a good thing. But if you have really some issues, you can, and we can look at other documents. If that satisfies the criteria, then it is all right. But again, I told you, this is like basically a privacy issue, and it is between the agent and the client, and we make sure that it is confidential all the time.
No, that's right. Guys, moving forward, Mr. Singh, coming into that sort of relationship and the visa. Okay, now let's focus on visas. So we understood the relationship. Moving on the visas. If someone is lodging, or if someone wants to lodge the visa, say for example, if I'm Australian citizen, permanent resident, or eligible New Zealand citizen, and I have got married to someone, but not in Australia. So what visa options would be?
See, there are the partner visa options have basically, you can do onshore or offshore. And if you're already married, right? If you are married and then you want to apply for a partner who is offshore, then you could go, there's a visa category which you could go for, that is called the 309 and 100.
Yeah.
But if somebody is in a relationship and they are planning to get married, and the partner is overseas and they want them to come here before they get married, they could obviously go for a prospective marriage visa, which is a subclass 300. So what happens if somebody is applying for 300? The department will look into the scenario, into the case, and they will grant the visa so that the person can travel to Australia. But we need to show that you have made arrangement to get married within the next 9 months. And that is the thing. But if somebody is already married, they will definitely apply for a 309 offshore and then wait for the visa to be granted before they can join the family here.
So this is basically a candidate who wants to apply for the visa application, fellows, from offshore, means your partner is not in Australia and they are looking for visa options. What about, Mr. Singh, if your partner is onshore? So say, for example, someone has fallen in love with a girl or a boy who are on a student visa or 485 visa or any other temporary visas. What visa options would that person go into?
See, if somebody is offshore, they would always they would go into the subclass 820 and 801, which is the onshore partner visa categories. But again, for somebody to apply for that, we need to have a look at the visa they are on. For example, if somebody is on a student visa or a 485, that should not be any problem. But if somebody is on a regional, like on a 491 or a 494, so we need to make sure that this person has held that visa for at least 3 years before they can apply for a partner visa. So basically, somebody has been granted a visa maybe a year or so, 491, or maybe 1 year, and they want to move from there to a partner visa, that is not eligible. He won't be eligible or she won't be eligible. So they have to stay on that visa for at least 3 years before they can apply for a partner visa. So
that's sort of pretty ridiculous sort of thing which department has done, guys. You can see here what they are trying to do, Mr. Singh, that they have given us this 491 general skill migration category visa. But now if I have found a partner who's Australian citizen or permanent residence or eligible New Zealand citizen, I won't be able to make a partner visa application. Yes,
that's right.
So don't you think so? It's pretty ridiculous sort of situation.
It is ridiculous. But what we can make up from here is the department does not want people to be granted 491s and then get into a relationship and then move back to the city or in a metropolitan area. So that then the purpose of 491 is basically not solved at all. So they want people to stay there and complete at least 3 years for which they were initially granted the visa.
If they really want people to stay there, Mr. Singh, I don't understand why they're taking more than 2 years to just give that visa. It's going pretty ridiculous. But we'll deal with this topic on some other day. But yes, guys, so if you are a 491, 494 visa holder, Mr. Singh has already mentioned that you won't be able to apply for partner visas category. Unfortunately, you have to do your 3 years before we start looking further for permanent partner visas. Again, it doesn't stop you to getting married, because your partner who is Australian citizen or permanent resident, he or she can of course go with you in the regional, and you make love and then kids and all those things, happy days. But yeah, it's pretty, sort of unfortunate for people who are on 491. Moving forward, Mr. Singh, considering sponsorship, we have heard for this visa, you also require a sponsor. So for partner visa, what does that mean? What is this sponsorship sort of obligations?
See, sponsorship obligation, basically the main reason behind the sponsorship thing is that they need to have a sort of a character check on the sponsor. So they would look at, you have to make an application for sponsorship. That's fine. But again, the main thing they look at is whether you have, or your partner who's sponsoring you have basically applied for sponsorship of some other people in the last 5 years. Right. So you can't apply for anyone if you have already done that in the last 5 years, and you can only apply for 2 partners in a lifetime. And again, if somebody is convicted of sort of offense, right, registered or registrable offense like child abuse or domestic violence, so they make sure that those people are not sponsoring anyone, right? So that basically it's a sort of a character test which they do on the sponsor and see that if everything is good, then they are eligible to sponsor. Otherwise,
so that's right, guys. Because there's no point being in a relationship with a person who has got character issues. Moreover, they're also looking for this requirement, especially for 309 and 820, which is the first stage, that whether that financially that person can support you if you are, relocating to Australia on a permanent basis. Character issues are one of those concerns, people which, we have seen in past so many years, that where a sponsor is not able to meet the character issues. It's always good, when we are living with someone. But yeah, of course, Mr. Singh, as they say, love is blind.
Yeah.
You blindly fall in love with a person. And it's unfortunate sometimes, considering there might be other factors as well, which department might consider. But yes, your question that you must be aware when you are in a relationship, your sponsor might have to meet those requirements to sponsor yourself for your partner visa category.
That's right.
So, Mr. Singh, we have seen that you've given us this 2 years, not 2 applicants in a lifetime, you said, yes?
Yeah.
Person can sponsor. Yeah. So for example, if I was the applicant, and I have been sponsored by an Australian citizen, do I also get 2 times?
No. So the person who is sponsoring, he can sponsor twice, but the person who has been sponsored, they can sponsor another 2 people. But again, you have to look at it, and then there is a waiting period, so they can only sponsor after that. So you just immediately you just like get into married and get divorced, and then you apply for a partner. That doesn't work. There's a time gap which you need to consider, and after that, yes, you can be eligible.
So it's pretty much, basically what department is trying to make sure that the continuity of the relationship exists.
Yep.
So again, guys, limitations of sponsorship, that's what we were discussing right now. So there might be a lot of questions to people who are in a relationship or who were in a relationship. They have got PR, they are Australian citizens even, and now they have been divorced, or they are not in a de facto relationship, but they have fortunately found a new partner, and they are looking for those visa options for their new partner, So these limitations is one of those areas where we have to be very cautious of. Moving forward, Mr. Singh, what do you say on people who are on a bridging visa? We have seen and we have heard this question a lot of times, that people who are on a bridging visa, they have found a partner and they want to get married. Okay, we are not talking about Section 48 situation here. We are more focusing on, for example, if someone has lodged a student visa or a 485 visa and went on a bridging visa, and can they basically lodge, partner visa onshore? And is there any situation which can occur during that time period?
Yes. What we need to make sure in this situation is there's a section called Schedule 3 section, so which basically outlines the criteria which you need to meet if you're applying for a partner visa and you don't hold a substantive visa. So basically that means that you must have held your visa in the last 28 days, right? Or you have some compelling and compassionate grounds for the waiver to happen, and that is only when you can apply for your visa.
So yeah, that's right, guys. We have seen a lot of applications, a lot of clients visiting us asking the question that we are on a bridging visa. Can we apply for partner visas while we're in Australia? Considering applicants who are on a bridging visa A, we always advise them that you should make your arrangements for bridging visa B and try to lodge the visa offshore. This is the one major reason which we have just spoken to Mr. Diljan is Schedule 3 criteria. Schedule 3 criteria is one of those criteria which is at the time of lodgement and the grant. The department will take a lot of time in judging and making a decision whether you had or you have any strong compelling reasons that why you should not or why you cannot leave the country. So considering the advice, Mr. Singh, what do you think, what kind of advice we can give a candidate who's on a bridging visa and has found a partner, whether he or she should leave the country or not?
See, if somebody is, I would say that if there's a period, if they can wait, and for the visa to be granted, that would be the best option, because what happens is then they are onshore and they can continue living what they're doing, and then after that they can apply for 820 and then stay here as long as they want. But if somebody is really worried that, maybe the file that they have applied for is not strong enough, or they think that, there may be a refusal of sort or something. So in that scenario, obviously it's a good thing to go offshore and lodge the visa application and come back on the bridging visa, and then
if you are advising, what advice you will give a candidate whether he should lodge an onshore or an offshore?
Absolutely. For someone who is on a bridging visa or doesn't hold a substantive visa, it is advisable that you move offshore, lodge your visa application, and then you can come back on your bridging visa. And
just to avoid that schedule 3.
Absolutely, yeah, because you don't have to show the meet the schedule 3 criteria if you're offshore.
Yep. So again, guys, these visas are not that cheap. Nearly $8,000 sort of fees is the visa fees for these particular applications. Considering getting stuck into this Schedule 3 situation is not advised. There are a lot of situations where a candidate does have compelling reasons and they are not able to move outside the country. In that case, what we can do is what we can do. But that was sort of a good session in regards to discussing the partner visa situation. Mr. Diljan, do you have anything else to mention about this visa?
Well, like you said, it's an expensive visa, so I would recommend everyone to provide documents that are genuine and not get into their friends' words that saying that this happened to somebody, so we can get away with that. So I would say that if people, those who are genuinely in a relationship, they should go for this visa. And if everything is genuine, there's no reason that you won't be granted the visa. But don't try to make up stories, and then provide document which is fraudulent, which can obviously, we have seen a lot of cases that the department is smart enough to just track them down, and then it's wastage of time, money, and obviously you get a rejection. That is also not a good thing, So obviously I would recommend that if anybody's planning to apply for a partner visa, that it's a genuine relationship. If it takes a bit longer to wait and then apply, that's a good thing. No need to rush. Just take your time, build up documents, collect all the relevant documents, and then when you think that you have enough of the documents and proofs to satisfy the department, that is when you should go for it.
Yeah, that's right, guys. So again, just making sure that if you are those type of candidates looking for partner visas, applications, I'll probably advise to make sure you consult a registered migration agent who are basically qualified to give you immigration assistance in regard to your partner visa situations. Before we leave, we have got one comment here. He says, Namaste, Bhai Sahab, I'm from Mauritius and I would like to get information on remaining relative visas. Just quickly on this, Nishil, that remaining relative visas, we can't go too much into this, but as long as if you can show you are only relative who are remained in your own country and don't have any kind of other relatives and are totally dependent, then we might have an options for remaining relative visas as well. So this was the session from our side, guys. Just make sure even if you are in a same sex or a different sex relationship, de facto or a spousal relationship, which is a married, legally, lawfully married relationship, uh, you know, try to obtain all these sort of documentations which we have previously mentioned, which shows your genuine continuing relationship, and hopefully things will go better. Before leaving, I should probably go into a couple of situations here, discussing about proxy marriage. Proxy marriage is not valid in Australia, guys. Okay, we have seen people during this pandemic getting married over the internet. Proxy marriage is basically where both the parties are not physically present. Second thing is polygamous marriage, where you are married to a person, not twice, but like you are one male married to two females. So polygamous marriage is not allowed in Australia as well. We believe in monogamous marriage. So yes, if you are that type of a candidate as well, just try and consult us before trying to making any sort of visa applications. Just quickly, we leave Diljan, physically met, is the word which is came through.
Yeah.
We have seen a lot of candidates during this pandemic, who have not met their partners physically, but there are some countries who will allow you to get married. What do you say on that? Is there gonna be any problem in regards to the partner visa situation here?
Yes. The Australian law says clearly that you must have met each other in physically basically, to prove that you are in a relationship, because many things are happening nowadays, so that is the law they have made, that once somebody showing that they are in a relationship must have physically met.
So I believe guys, all these dating websites and stuff people are going through nowadays comes up with all these six packs and celebrity looking women and all those kind of models, and suddenly I believe departmental minister was smart enough to introduce this law stating that a person should physically meet. For example, if someone goes there and they say that person is not even the person, the one they were expecting the person to be. So it's always good, you must be physically met with the person if you want to get into this partner visa situation. So I think we have covered a lot of things, guys, in regards to permanent partner visas, visa applications for guys who are married to Australian citizen, permanent resident, or eligible New Zealand citizens. Onshore application, as Mr. Singh has mentioned, 82801, offshore 309100, and the one who are not married and are looking to get married, prospective marriage visas are 300. So they are not that expensive, guys. So make sure you are taking a proper advice before moving on to partner visa applications, and then hopefully you will join your loved ones soon.
Yeah, I would just like to mention that, since they are, like we say, it's onshore, like 820 and 801. So what I would just like to clarify is that both the applications for the visas are done at the same time, and immigration charges just one-time fee. So you don't have to pay separate for both separate applications. It's a one-time fee. And whenever your files is opened up, they will first grant you a temporary visa if it is under 2 years. But if the department has taken more than 2 years, so you have chances of getting both the visa, that's the permanent and temporary visa, granted at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's right, guys. So that was it. Before leaving, we have got a question. It's me. Vishnu says, my question is, my partner, she came to Australia on visitor visa and she has applied for student visa, and I married her during her bridging. Okay. So what do you say on this? I think what Vishnu is trying to say here is Mr. Diljan, that his partner has come here and on a visitor visa they have applied for student, so the girl would be on a bridging visa, I guess. And I believe Vishnu is PR or citizen, and they have got married, but he never mentioned whether they have lodged the visa or not.
That's right.
So what do you say on that?
So obviously, like we had just discussed regarding that schedule 3 criteria. So like she's on a bridging visa, you have got married, that's fine, but you have not lodged any application. So I would say that it's better you wait for a student visa to be granted. So once that is done, then you can start with the application process for a partner visa, and that can be done onshore. or else like Kamaljeet had mentioned, she would need to basically apply for a BBB, go offshore, apply from offshore and come back on the visa and then wait here for your visa to be processed. So what happens in that scenario is you come back, you're here, but again, the only difference is that is an offshore visa, and this you can apply onshore if you apply after she's been granted the visa.
So yes, Vishnu, sometimes we'll probably think like, I don't want to study. I don't want to get into that kind of a situation where I should study, and why should I waste that kind of money? I can invest that kind of money, but we should understand the regulations of immigration, that if marrying someone on a bridging visa is not an issue. Okay, that's your right. You can do it. Best of luck on that. Plus, the issue here is if you are applying for a partner visa on a bridging visa. Okay, again, it's not an issue. It's a Schedule 3 requirement. You must have a compelling reasons to satisfy the department. So hopefully your question, is understood and solved. Moving on to next comment, we have got Kajal Mandhan says, I have applied for my husband visa 5 months ago as a subsequent entrant student 500. When would you think it will come? So I'll probably say, Kajal here is discussing about subsequent entrant student visa, Diljan. What do you think? He's saying, when would you think it will come?
So basically, there's no place we can look for it. So the only available information is you can have to go to the immigration website and see the normal processing time that is happening here, and based on that you can just judge how long will it be. But that is again not a definite answer, because every case is different and they take different sort of times, looking at different cases. And again, it depends on the department how they look at a case. If it's a strong case, maybe you'll get it a bit sooner than later.
Yes, again, with the student subsequent again, guys, this visa is not a permanent visa. We are just answering the question for the comment. She should also understand the GT criteria.
That's right,
Diljan, for her husband, so that whosoever has lodged the application should understand the GT criteria kicks in for visitor visa and student visas. And other visas, some as well, but we'll be focusing on student subsequent. So yes, again, Kajal, that answer which you require, Diljan has mentioned. Processing time periods are different. Applications for individuals are being assessed on different basis. As long as the GT criteria, your relationship documents are submitted, your health examinations have been done, and all your other character requirements sort of things have been done, there shouldn't be any issue. So hopefully you will get your visa. So that was it from our side, guys. Thanks, Diljan, again for joining us for this live session on partner visas. If you guys have any questions in regards to partner visas, you can leave us a comment. Or if you require any other live session to be done on any other sort of topic, you can also leave us in a comment, and we'll try to do our very best on this situation. So have a nice weekend, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.